When you talk about Volvo, right, people think about the automotive sector.
The impact it is creating, it is in the transportation industry,
Yes.
but the solution could be very varied.
When you look at a startup, right, what kind of X factor do you look at?
I think the first thing which we look out at is the solution fit. Through CampX, we have this one window where we are enabling access for these startups to the labs that we have.
What's the company's take on AI, and what kind of use cases do you look at when you talk about AI in the automotive field?
In the CampX portfolio that we are handling here in Hub India, about 30% of them are focusing on artificial intelligence POVs. Interestingly, we also have certain solutions which are global in nature and which are in a process of commercialization.
Do you see like a big AI application coming out of CampX soon?
Yeah, I think we should keep an eye on that.
Welcome to another episode of Tech Talks. Today we have with us Vishakha Bhagat. She's the lead at CampX India. Hello, Vishakha.
Hello.
So if you could just start off by explaining or elaborating on CampX and what the company does.
Sure. CampX is a concept owned by the Volvo Group. It is also the open innovation arena of the Volvo Group, through which we work with a lot of startups and ecosystem partners to bring in together technology and business innovations. This concept is owned by the CTO office, and it enables us to work with brilliant startups from the ecosystem coming together, co-locating with us, working on proof of values, and working also on enabling a lot of co-development and collaboration to bring in solutions which are faster to the market.
Definitely. Since AI is the buzzword right now, right, and we are in the Silicon Valley of India, what's the company's take on AI, and how are you basically incubating or accelerating such companies, AI companies?
Sure. So thank you for this question. And artificial intelligence is one of the major focus areas for CampX globally, along with sustainability, of course. Within artificial intelligence as a focus area, we're currently working with 20 plus startups. And what I see right now in the CampX portfolio that we are handling here in Hub India, about 30% of them are focusing on artificial intelligence POVs. So interestingly, AI has so many applications, a plethora of applications which are possible. We are looking at a case within India where we are enabling our legal community with a startup to have a natural language processing based solution, which is helping us take decisions faster, do contracts faster, and with so much of support that we are getting with the offline lawyer network as well. So that is one application. Also, there are many of them. What I see from the global portfolio is where we are looking at validating sustainable materials with support of AI. So it is ranging from sustainable materials to an extent where we are looking at certain solutions which are for embedded software and over-the-air updates. So there is a variety of applications what we are looking at right now. And interestingly, I see that artificial intelligence won't just stop there. We have problem statements or challenges. It is very need-based scouting that we do for startups. And AI is an enabler. So we would not want to restrict or confine ourselves to AI as a solution, but look at it more as an enabler to solve a challenge A or B that we have from the different business area with whom we are interacting.
Definitely. And how do you incubate or welcome these startups? What's the procedure? How do they apply?
So CampX is very sponsor driven. Behind every proof of value project that we do, we have a strong product owner and a business owner supporting it. We look at everything from a challenge-based perspective. If we see a need, now this could be a technology gap, this also could be a business gap, or it also could be a process gap that we would want to fill in. We take such challenges out to the startup community and the ecosystem, and they apply to us through various platforms, one of which is also the URL and the website that we have where the startup can apply directly. And another ways is also where we have very able, competent scouting partners in different ecosystems geographically. For example, we have Incubation in India, who is a scouting partner. We also have Drive in the Israeli ecosystem, and we have Mobility X Lab in the European ecosystem. So with these particular partners, we source a lot of startups which are very problem and challenge centric. At the same time, we have different networks internally within the Volvo Group too, and externally, through which there are startups who approach us.
So when you talk about Volvo, right, people think about the automotive sector. If you could explain, apart from just automotive, right, what else are you doing?
So currently we are seeking solutions. We are seeking innovative solutions for the transport industry at large. And in this particular space, the challenge or the solution, like I said before, it doesn't just stop at an automotive application. The impact it is creating, it is in the transportation industry,
Yes.
but the solution could be very varied. Like I said, these solutions could be also something which will enable us with certain operations. It could also be something which is very product oriented. We are working on a particular solution which we have commercialized, which is for seat comfort technology, and which is that is what we're looking forward to implement in the coming platforms.
Yeah.
So there are various applications of it which are not limited to automotive when it comes to startups. Like, who would think of having a startup working on AI/ML
Yeah.
in legal space? Similarly, it's very difficult to think of, a startup which is supporting our aftermarket technology team to be able to automate certain processes which will help the service engineers to respond a lot more faster with, say, lesser resolution and much lesser response time. So this is what are the different applications, and not just limited to automotive, but definitely creating impact on the
Yeah.
Volvo Group business and strategy.
If you could also talk about the use cases and the other businesses that you're looking at. You also spoke about sustainable mobility and things like that, right? If you could just elaborate a little on that.
Sure. So within sustainable mobility, sustainability in itself is a very large concept, and there are different ways to look at it. If you look at it from the perspective of materials, we would look at applications of green sustainable materials. We would also look at the 10R framework that we are following at the Volvo Group, which has different stages in which we can deploy modularity, we can deploy recyclability,
Yeah.
we can deploy reuse of certain use, so on and so forth. Also, at the same time, we have electromobility, wherein we are working on certain proof of values, which are on predictive analytics for state of health and state of charge of a battery. We are also working with Volvo Energy, which is responsible for reuse of a battery after its first life. So
Yeah.
how do you better deploy these particular batteries in their second life, and what could be the possible applications? So we worked with a startup in the past as well, which enabled us to do this battery life classification assessment. And going forward, we also have a current portfolio which is focusing on sustainability from the electromobility and the battery tech perspective. Saying that, there are other applications as well which are sustainable in nature. We are looking at a possibility of recycling packaging material, which we can utilize in the interior plastic components that we are looking at. So there are plethora of opportunities over
Yeah.
there within sustainability.
If you could talk about the success stories from the incubation or the accelerator program, right? If you could talk about some success story.
So far, we have about 100 proof of value projects, and that would mean that 100 such associations made with startup to co-develop, collaborate, and also test off-the-shelf innovations that these startups have. So within this particular aspect, I would want to mention that there are, within India, we have about 10 proof of value projects with startups which have already been completed. 3 of the solutions which are commercialized and on the way of commercialization. And there are another 10 such proof of values which are ongoing. We do not limit only to the India ecosystem. We see a lot of value in the India ecosystem. We have about 60% of the portfolio which has India ecosystem startups. At the same time, we have global reach as well. So our job is to be kind of a window. It is a window for the global startups to work with our Indian product owners and business owners. At the same time, for the product owners and business owners from India to work with global as well as local startups. So we see ourselves more as enablers. So far, the kind of innovation hit rate that we are looking at, it is very optimistic. We look at getting better at that. We look at strengthening the framework that we already have.
What kind of use cases do you look at when you talk about AI in the automotive field?
I would give you like 3 examples here. Now, we have one example which is more on the aftermarket service that
Yeah.
we can potentially provide, where we are working with a startup by name Sodex. Now, this is one startup which is responsible for which is looking at creating an AI model. It is also looking at creating a digital twin of a construction site with support of an edge device, which is a 3D camera. And then imagine a construction owner sitting at a distance is able to view how the site is developing with support of this particular carrier vehicles, which are carrying this particular data through the sensor to the
Yeah.
cloud, and then so on and so forth. So this is one particular application which is more on the service side. Then on the process side, We also are working with one of the startups, which is a European startup who's supporting us to be able to fast process the CAE time that we have. So this is more of a process level application that we are looking at. Then talking about applications which is non automotive in nature, we already spoke about how we are supporting our legal team over here with natural language processing when it is coming to legal document handling. And interestingly, we also have certain solutions which are global in nature and which are in a process of commercialization, where we look at deploying AI to be able to do over the air updates and certain code optimization.
Sure.
So these are the numerous applications that we are looking at.
How do you help a startup, as in what kind of, how do you basically enable them, right? And what's the process of a POV?
So we operate in these 3 phases of explore, validate, and launch with a startup. Imagine that you are a product owner or business owner or anyone who has a problem statement, walks into CampX. What we do as a first step is empathetically listen to you. What is it that you want? Deep dive into your challenge, and we reach out to the startup where we have this challenge sharing. We also have an NDA, which is signed, a bilateral NDA, which we enable the interest of both the parties so that it is a win-win scenario. And then we look at what are the potential solutions which startup is bringing to us. And we have this very quick lean framework that we follow, which is different than which is very unique in nature and a lot more faster, which is suitable to startups to work at the time and the space that they would want to. We bring them in. This is the space where we are sitting right now. We co-locate with startups. We provide them the set of infrastructure and guidance as well during the proof of value, where they work very closely with our technology experts. So in this space, imagine a startup which is having an artificial intelligence solution and they would want to validate that solution if it works well. Through CampX, we have this one window where we are enabling access for these startups to the labs that we have, wherein they can experiment and evaluate if the solution works well and if there is a potential to commercialize. So what we bring in is a very user-centric perspective to a startup, where they see an opportunity to commercialize this particular solution they're working on. At the same time, if it works, it is really great. And it's a space where innovation, where there are bound to be failures, and failure is not a bad word. So in case if there is a proof of value which gets commercialized, it's a great scenario both for the startup and for us. If it is not, there is still a learning that we see for the startup too. So we have worked in the past and even working now with AI-based startups, where we see certain amount of data information which a AI-based startup would want, and we would also want to, in a way, co-create an algorithm with them, which eventually we can utilize for real-world applications. So this is a scenario where we'll be able to support a startup.
So, do you see like a big AI application coming out of CampX soon?
Yeah, I think you should keep an eye on that.
Your strategic location in Bangalore, right? What do you think of the talent pool here, and why Bangalore though, and why are you based in Bangalore, CampX?
There are 2 angles to look at it. First is that the largest site of R&D for Volvo Group outside Sweden is in India, and it is in Bangalore. This is where our product and business owners are. We also have within this particular premises a lot of our functions and business areas, some labs as well. So naturally, Bangalore was first choice for that. And then second point also that we have a rich ecosystem here. We see so many startups in the city, which we have few of them who are co-located within the same city, and we have an opportunity to work very closely with them.
And when you look at a startup, right, what kind of X factor do you look at? As in, does the startup have to have a certain kind of quality? What should stand out?
I think the first thing which we look out at is the solution fit. And the better it is, then we look at so many other perspectives as well, in terms of what is the team readiness level, who the team is, and then what is their unique selling point. But the first thing is like, are they able to solve the challenge? Is it the good solution and a problem fit? Is the first perspective.
And any startup that is part of the accelerator, right, of CampX, has it been partnered with Volvo in any manner?
Yes. So we, like I said, in the hub India right now, out of the 10 odd proof of values which we have completed in the short time we have been here, we already have 3 of such associations that we have formed.
Could you also name a few of the startups that you mentioned earlier?
Sure. So we are, like I said, working with Conjugate on the AI/ML based tool for legal application. We also have worked with Sodex, an Austrian startup, on the application that we were working on the construction side. And we are working on a lot of other applications, but I would want to now mention these two.
Sure, definitely. And to finish this off with, right, we spoke about Bangalore's traffic. What do you think of Bangalore's mobility right now? And what's your natural take? I mean, I think we still we have a long way to go about the mobility and the transportation here. What do you think of it?
Um, of course, I think it is very visible that we are currently operating in a very heavy traffic. I think we need to be a bit more mindful and sustainable in our approach as well, where we are using public transportation to an extent, where it is easier and lighter on the roads for everyone else who's driving. So I think we a bit of a direction there where we are using more of public transport will help us.
It was great talking to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.